How's it going? It's Friday and it's time for my review of Impact. Yes, that illustrious time of watching really horrible acting. Some big news came out of Impact Live. I don't even know what to call it. Do you even call it TNA Impact anymore? Because they still because they have Shop TNA, but it's called Impact Wrestling. I don't know. The old TNA logo is on all their pay-per-views, which that brings me to the big news that was on there. We are now reduced to 4 Impact pay-per-views a year, and one of them is coming up this Sunday, Genesis. I wouldn't have wasted one of your 4 on Genesis. I've seen Genesis for the past 3 years, and it's never been that good. I can't recall a really, outstanding one. Then again, I can't really recall a really outstanding TNA pay-per-view other than Bound for Glory, and even those are subpar at best sometimes. Anyway, so they have stated that on the months that they aren't going to have a pay-per-view, they are going to have something special on Friday, the first Friday of each month. And I actually am looking forward to a few of these. Because they've already released some of them. There's going to be a Hardcore Justice 2, an ECW reunion, which, yes, there was... They could have been built up more, the first one, and they could have showcased a few of the stars. They could have showcased a few of the stars that were going to be on there instead of it just being a surprise. There's going to be something called TNA 10 Reunion. Stars from the early days of TNA battling inside the 6-sided ring. I thought there for a while that they were going to bring back the 6-sided ring for the X Division, or Destination X. But I don't think they did it. They did it this last year. TNA Knockouts Knockdown, which is basically a big knockout tournament. I didn't even know they had enough knockouts on the card to have a tournament. And then there's an international incident. They'll have stars from United States, India, Mexico, Ireland, Canada, Japan, Germany, and the UK. Which, if they're the winner, they get a TNA title shot. Okay, and then they have an X Division World Cup tournament. Again, I don't think they have enough X Division talent to have a tournament. Whatever. That's a few of them. You can... It's common knowledge on the internet. You can look at the rest. Those were just a few that popped right out. Especially Hardcore Justice 2. Seeing as that Hardcore Justice is basically fucking over your existing talent to put on old ECW guys. They could have had it on free TV is all I'm saying. And it would have done just as good, probably better. But anyway, let's get to this Impact. Yes. It started out bad, as most Impacts do. I was already dreading when I heard Sting's music pop up. I am a Sting fan. I'm not going to dispute that the man isn't glorious. But he returns, rewind a little bit. He returned back to TNA last week, which he returns more than The Rock in one solid year. It's not a big surprise, and when you build up that there's gonna be someone big debuting, and it turns out he's just coming back, it's stupid. Anyway, Sting's music hits, and Angle, Samoa Joe, and Sting come out, and they all get mic time. And Angle talks about how he's going to rip the masks off each and every one of the aces and eights, even though he's ripped off one mask off of one individual, and he's been saying this for almost a month now. I'm glad you're on ball with ripping off all those fucking masks, Angle. Samoa Joe doesn't say much of anything, just, you know, kicking ass and whatnot. Sting says he feels frisky. Then, oh, who is it? I'm pretty sure it's Angle that gets cut off by Anderson, and Anderson walks out, and he actually makes some good points, you know? I hate to be siding with the guys who sided with Aces and Eights, because we don't know if he's part of Aces and Eights. You know he's not gonna be part of Aces and Eights. Because it just seems so stupid. Why, Mr. Anderson, why are they so interested in Anderson? You'd think you'd try to get Jeff Hardy or Kurt Angle or, hell, Sting. They shouldn't have broken his arm. They should have just gotten Sting. You know, one of these guys that can't be stopped. Excuse me. He says that they weren't there for him when he was getting his ass beat by Aces and Eights, which I actually don't remember. It may have happened on one of the impacts that I didn't see. But yeah, and then Angle's getting on his face. Are you with the fucking Aces and Eights? It's weird because he asked him something. They actually act like a heel group, like the three amigos, Angle, Sting, and Samoa Joe, because he kind of they go back and forth. Anderson and Angle are shooting, you know, whatnot, and finally Angle says, you know, if you're not with us, we're gonna fight. Like, so he has a choice of probably getting his ass beat again by Aces and Eights by not joining Aces and Eights, or he's just going to get his ass kicked by these three guys because he is part of Aces and Eights. So he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. But I like when Anderson says, again, what we're all thinking. He says, I don't have to answer to you. And he doesn't, you know. He doesn't. And then Angle, they kind of get, you know, they kind of get in each other's faces. And Angle, sorry, I lost my train of thought. This happens a lot. The last video, I had to edit a little at because I would just sit there and stare. But anyway, they get face to face, and and they just start fighting, and that was pretty much it. Then they announce gut check. Something that they should have done a long time ago. They have, for the first time, 2 individuals for gut check, and they're going to face off, and there's only one contract available. And I have a feeling that it's going to go 2 ways, and I'll announce one right now. I believe that there is a chance that they're just going to go, you know what, we'll just give you both contracts. Yay! TNA makes everyone happy. Because they've done shit like that before. Oh, and by the way, they should rename Impact to Commercials Featuring Impact, because there's a shitload of commercials. I just saw that. I mean, I just... after this, we go backstage to Brooke Hogan, and I hate they do this in Impact, but they don't do it much. Like John Laurinaitis used to get on his cell phone, but it wasn't anything like big deal, and he at least tried to look like he was talking to someone on his phone, and most of the time he's just texting if he was on his phone. In TNA, everybody's just getting fucking phone calls whenever they're on camera. It's just the normal thing, and Brooke Hogan, I don't know if she's half-ass acting or she's just really bad at acting like she's talking to somebody on the phone. And she does this several times during the show. And I hate this because it's so obvious that there's nobody on the other line. Like, they're just sitting there with their phone, like, up to their face, like, Like, and they're just sitting there, yeah, okay, well, I'll meet you there. You know, Brooke Hogan. Then they mentioned, then there was a commercial break, because gotta love those commercials. I did not see the Matt Morgan insurance commercial. I can't remember. It's Direct Auto Insurance. I did not see that one this time, but they've been playing it a while. Just wanted to mention that. They were really good whenever he left the company. They didn't show it, but since he's been back, they show it a lot. They did have a TNA, Shop TNA commercial, and they mentioned WrestlingAuctions.com, where you can get merchandise, and it's probably mostly that stuff that they couldn't get rid of in their shop, like the baseball, like signed baseball bats by Sting, and I remember they had this thing in there forever. That was the Jeff Hardy like NASCAR truck that was signed by him, and they were selling it for like $145, and it just kept on getting price slashed after price slash. Then there's the getting back on track, there is the X Division tournament match of Kenny King versus Zema Ion. I could really care less about this match, at least going into it, because I don't think they really are building up Kenny King very well, and Zema Ion, they never really did. And this is really all that's left of their X Division, and I don't know. It was a really good match. Zema Ion is, you can at least say he's competent. I will give him that. I haven't seen a lot of what he could do. I know he was the X Division championship X Division champion for a while. But he's pretty good. And Kenny King is no greenhorn himself. They had a good match, a really short match, an incredibly short match. Especially when you have two guys that are like flipping around and shit. You want to keep those guys on for about 10 minutes. I mean, this match probably was 3 minutes long. This was actually the time that they were that they decided during a match was the best time to announce they were switching over to like 4 pay-per-views a year, and they called it Evolving. I like that. And Tanay says that the business is changing and they are evolving. No, you're not evolving. In fact, I actually wrote this down because it reminded me of this. If you ever heard of Digimon, they're like the... I know this has nothing to do with anything, but they're like the poor man's Pokemon, and they had like a cartoon. But before the cartoon, at least over here, the only thing you could get was Bandai, who made Tamagotchi. They made little Digimon, like Tamagotchis, but they were Digimon, and you could like hook them up and they would attack each other. But if you really treated them like shit, they would turn into like a big slug, like crap monster, and they'd like attack with their own shit. Like it was like a shit Digimon. I don't know what its actual name was, but like I like to think of them evolving into that shit Digimon. But then we go back on track again. we cut the backstage where Robbie E and Robbie T are I guess why I believe they were watching the match, and then they start bitching, or Robbie E starts bitching about how he's having the worst time right now, and he says Jersey Shore was canceled. That was my favorite show. No, not Jersey Shore. And this would have been fine if it had been anybody else but them. Because other than Angelina from Jersey Shore, who's only on the first season, so she doesn't count, they've had JWoww and they've had Ronnie from Jersey Shore, who came on to the show to beat their ass. I'm serious. Actually, JWoww came to beat Cookie's ass, who was the friend of Robbie E. But whatever. But still, why does he like this show? Two of them have kicked his ass. Continuity error. Robbie E wants to tag. Needs a partner to tag with a mix, because it's gonna be a mixed tag team that he's in. Robbie needs a women tag team partner to go up against Tara and Mr. Pectacular, and I'm sorry that I don't remember his real name, but I know that's his nickname. She says I want a winner, and kind of like motions to Robbie T. And so now, and you don't know this yet, but it's then going to be Tara and Pectacular versus Robbie T and Tessmacher. Now, that's what I got from it. Maybe they were meaning that Tessmacher needed to pick a partner. I don't know. But we cut to commercial after this, which I wrote it down actually right here. Don't you find those H&R Block commercials with the guy who's like trying to like save money, and like he acts like you're a battered woman, because he's like, who did this to you? Like, he's talking about like past like tax reports, and he gives like it's this slow-mo of like him smiling, but he's like, it's really, really weird. But when we come back from all the commercials, when we go back to Impact, Joseph Park wants to meet Hulk Hogan. Apparently he's done with his training as a wrestler. Which, wrap your head around that. They're in a fake wrestling program where he's playing a guy who doesn't know how to wrestle, but the actual guy knows how to fake wrestle. So he goes to a real place to learn fake wrestling for his fake character to learn real fake wrestling. And he pretends to not know how to fake wrestle. It just goes around and around and around. But anyway, back on track. We cut to Tara and Pectacular versus Robbie T and Tessmacher. Tessmacher basically rapes Tara's face, like with her moves. Like, there's two instances that happen back to back where like Tara's like on the ropes and Tessmacher like humps her face, you know. And they really played that up. If anyone was to do it, I would think it would be Tara, seeing as that she's the heel. I don't know. And before this, we have to see the bro-off that happened last week, because I couldn't get enough of that shitty fucking dancing. I mean, come on, it was Robbie E, Pectacular, and Robbie T, and like Robbie T stole the show. Dude, that guy is so huge. He can't move. How can he dance? Robbie T is, or Rob Terry. I like to call him Rob Terry. He's huge. He's a scary man. But yeah, and then like when they win, by the way, that was a really, really short match. Another, like, they're back-to-back really, really short matches. And they could have kept that one going. I mean, Robbie T, he's not very, again, he's not very agile. And I guess Mr. Pectacular isn't as agile as well. I don't know, because they don't put him in the ring a lot. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he can get, you know, he's decent. But, yeah. I mean, Tessmacher's alright, and Tara's a beast. Yeah, and then they dance some more, and Tessmacher um, dances with Robbie T, and she starts doing that thrusting move again. I guess that's the only one she knows. Taz couldn't remember Nobody Puts Baby in a Corner from Dirty Dancing. That was pretty funny in itself. That's all I really have to say about that. They rolled packages for the gut check guys. I didn't really pay attention to them. But after another commercial break, we get the gut check challenge. And I could have sworn Kenny King was a gut check challenger. I mean, a gut check winner. But he isn't. He came in whenever they did Destination X, I believe. But other than that guy with the white and black dreads, you really haven't seen anything much of those gut check winners. There was Taylor Hendricks, well, Joey Ryan, but he didn't win. My other theory on the gut check thing is, what do you want to bet the guy who lost gets the contract? Seems like a really TNA move to me. Seems like a really TNA move to me. But actually, these guys were actually the guy who lost, which was Brian Cage. I really liked Brian Cage. Brian Cage pulled off a nice suplex. He was like on the second rope, and the other guy was on the outside of the ring, like on the, you know, on the apron, and he pulled him out. That was a nice suplex. It was all in all a good match. Jay Bradley was the other guy. Another decent guy, but I actually like Brian Cage more. I would like Brian Cage to win, but if Jay Bradley won, still very talented guy. Hope to see him. So they cut back to backstage, and like Anderson's like sitting in a chair like I am, and he's got like his head down like this, like, you know, and his face is like bathed in shadow, and I wondered if anyone else asked this. Why is his face bathed in shadow? I know it has to do with the Aces and Eights, and they cloak their face with masks, but we know who he is. Excuse me. We know by his voice. In fact, his voice is his defining feature, because he, like, you know, he does the microphone thing. I don't understand where they're going with this. Maybe he was supposed to be like he was like turning to the dark side, or I don't know. It was just weird. But one of the few things that I heard, and I mean I've seen videos on it, that I do appreciate with the Aces and Eights angle. I mean, it's kind of weird that TNA builds them up only to shit on them, but I do like how they get different people to like you know how the leader speaks, and they put effects on it so you can't tell who it is. They changed those guys out. Like, I'm pretty sure Eric Bischoff did a few of them, and I'm pretty sure D'Lo Brown actually plays the leader. I don't know if they've ever had anybody else play the leader, like, physically. But I think D'Lo Brown also plays the voice sometimes, but they're keeping us on our toes on this leader thing. I can only guess that it's Eric Bischoff, seeing as that he has a biker show, or he did, or I don't know if it's still on, but I know he likes that type of stuff. Mouth is really dry. Anyway, let's see. The leader gets really all over Knox's ass, Mike Knox. If you didn't see that last week, Angle, the one guy he's unmasked was Mike Knox, which I'm glad that they told me, because last time I saw Mike Knox, he had really long hair and a big beard. It's still big, but it's not as big. And I'm glad that they told me, because I wouldn't have known. Let's see. I had an idea that the aces and eights, if they were scared that they were going to unmask, or have Angle unmask all his guys, they should just send the unmasked guys after Angle, and that's it. Just send them unmasked guys, because they got Luke Gallows, and I refuse to call him by his TNA name, because that TNA name is stupid as shit. Luke Gallows, they have Devon, and now they have Mike Knox. Just send those guys after Angle. That's it. He doesn't get to unmask him. They really need to kind of wind up this Aces and Ace thing. This is before Bound for Glory, and they still have this storyline going, and they can't like make any money off this Angle, because all the stars have their faces masked, or you know, at least some of them. So you can't make like before Luke Gallows and Mike Knox were unmasked, you couldn't have like a Luke Gallows or Mike Knox t-shirt or something like that. They could if they wanted to now, but you can't do that with guys who are masked, because their identity is, you know, I'm rattling on, but you get it. Okay, we cut to commercial breaks. I actually put "fuck your movie Hansel and Gretel" because it looks like a stupid movie. And we get a Hulk Hogan segment, because there has to be there has to be a Hogan every 10 minutes. Little known fact. Every 10 minutes there has to be a commercial. Joseph calls out Hulk Hogan because he's done with his training. And if you didn't know this, he went to train to wrestle because Hulk Hogan wouldn't put him in the ring with an Aces and Eights members until he got his training. Bear in mind, Bully Ray murdered his brother, quote unquote, even though Abyss showed up like a handful of times and we've never seen him since. But you were led to believe that Bully Ray murdered him, or at least Bully Ray thought he did. Which I'll get to that in a second. Joseph says he's completed his training and he wants a match. And I actually quoted Hogan right here. Actually, I quoted Joseph first. Joseph said, "You inspired me, Hulk Hogan." Which, that's twice now, actually. You know why? Remember that angle, excuse me, where Hulk Hogan, like, gave Abyss the WWE ring? And if you don't know this, Joseph Park is Abyss. Like, Abyss is Chris Abyss. Okay. Abyss is brothers with Joseph Park, but they are played by the same dude. There. But yeah, Hulk Hogan gave Abyss at one point his WWE Hall of Fame ring, and it gave him the power of the Hulkamaniacs and inspired him. But yeah, so it's twice. Hulk acts like a jackass. Just gonna say, he says he'll give him whatever match he wants. Just get off his back. He's been out there for 5 seconds. It's not like you're not a camera hog, Hulk. Just go with it. After all this, and this takes about 10 minutes, I summed it up. Brooke Hogan is backstage and talking to the camera, and she's on like the Titantron, and Hulk Hogan can see it, and she's like, I'm coming out, Dad. I'm pretty sure she calls him Hulk, but she says, I'm coming out, Dad. And we cut to commercial. And then we get into... I wouldn't rag on TNA. I wouldn't rag on TNA if it wasn't that bad. It's been a lot worse, but this is pretty fucking bad. They've had this story. Okay. Story time again. So, Brooke, there's it's not a love triangle, but Brooke wants to be with Bully. Like, they've been hinting that Bully and Brooke have been, like, seeing each other, but you didn't know until, like, a week ago. This has been going on for 3 months now. Nobody's wrestling. Nobody's doing anything, and it's not leading up to anything because Hulk can't wrestle. Hulk has enough time shambling on out to the ring and waking up in the morning, okay? He's not wrestling. I feel bad for the guy. I'm not ragging on him. I feel bad for him. I'm a huge Hulk fan. But he can't wrestle. He's too old to wrestle anymore. It happens. It sucks to get old, but that's the way it is. So what are they working up to? What is it that they're working up to? I really want to know. So, all of this led to last week, and Hulk Hogan suspended Bully Ray on... he suspended Bully Ray with no pay. And they're all like, what? You can't do this to me? Or Bully Ray was like that. Anyway. Yeah, so I wrote this down. One non-wrestler and one forced to retire wrestler talking about nothing. And it was really surprisingly short. Like, this took 5 minutes. On the past few impacts that they've been doing this, or past 2 months impacts, they would take a total of 30 minutes. But don't worry, you get your money's worth of Brooke and Hulk and Bully going at it. And somewhere in here, it's going to be at the end. I'll just spoil it for you. It happens at the end.